This should be the last video of our assembly. I'm going to be doing quite a few videos with this printer, show what the capacity is, and I'll include one of the projects that I'm trying to work on with this printer. But right now we're going to do the frame corners. Got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frames, corners. I'm assuming this is not your first printer. If it is, then you're really accomplishing something for yourself. These are what is referred to as T-nuts and bolts. They go into the extrusion very easily. With the turn of the screw, they turn sideways and catch the frame, and then the rest is just a tightening procedure. Once you turn these, they lock into the frame, and then they start tightening. The tapered parts of the screws go outward so that they'll go into the frame easily. I put all these together ahead of time, but just to show you that they just go right in the frames. And once we're going to turn this screw, it'll lock in place and then start tightening. So we got 10 corners to do. I don't want to bore you with all that stuff, but the next step we're going to be doing is the electrical work. I find if you give these like a real quick turn, you'll see hopefully see the nut lock in place here. Give them a quick turn, and that really gets the nut turning into where it's supposed to be. See, so these are locked in place now, and they are tightening down. So I got 10 of these to do. If you look on the instructions, it's pretty simple. We're looking at the other side, but the front of the printer, these go on the inside. On the back, they go on the outside. There's nothing on the bottom. Z, there is one here facing towards the front of the printer. Got 4 on each corner and another one on the other Z bracket. So I'm going to get all these in place. Like I said, I prepared all these. I put the screws in, so no need to videotape all that stuff. Let me get that going, and then we're going to go to the wiring. This printer should be all done. I'll probably start with a very simple item to print. I finished installing our 10 corner brackets, and we're going to go into the wiring real quick here, and that'll probably conclude our instructions, which, like I said, I'm looking through them the same way you are. They gave 2 extra nuts, screws here, which is good. It's always nice to have extra stuff just in case something's not in the package, but so far everything's been here. Haven't had any problem with that. They give you a screwdriver for this connection. But I'm probably going to use my own screwdriver because I could put a little more torque on it. Not that this can take much torque, but it's always good to have a very tight connection on your heated bed. Some of the Creality machines, one of the vendors decided to get a little funny with the quality control and caused a lot of problems with their printers. So it's just a lot of amperage going through a small connection. but these have been soldered, braided and soldered wire, so it should make a good connection. Let's start doing some of these wires here. This doesn't seem like a one-handed operation, so I might stop the video and do this a little more properly. Got that connection for the stepper and our limit switch here. Let me go around real quick. When I get to the hot end, we'll go through each wire because there is 6 different connections there. But these are simple. I'm gonna put this together with this. There's a screw connection there. That should be simple enough. And then I'll come back. Let's try this out. These are color coded also. We have a white and black, brown, red, and yellow. Just make sure you get the browns on the same side there. Yeah, brown, red in the middle, yellow on the end there. This camera not focused on that, but usually seeing everything behind it. What else we got here? We got the stepper, driver. That's nice for the extruder actually. I got an extruder connector here. That might go right on the motor. Let's see what else we got here. We got a red and black, heavy red and black. We got a few red and blacks here. Alright, I'm going to have to take a look at this a little more detailed. I just want to start sticking these together because a lot of them do have the same color coding. So, let me get back to this one. So, after playing with the wiring a little bit, got a stepper motor driver. This is the limit switch, X-axis limit switch. Was a little bit longer out of the harness to go to here. The only thing that confused me a little bit was because the coloring is not the same. It crosses over, but it is an on-off switch, so technically I don't think it would make a difference. That's the only thing that really got me a little confused here. We have some fans, BL Touch Auto, heating tube and thermistor, and 2 fans all together here. They're unique connectors. They only fit into each other. They can't cross like this yellow, red, and brown one wouldn't fit into the white and black one, so it kind of guides you along that way. This one here is a little different coloration. This went from all black wires. There's two thick ones, two thin ones. It went into a red thick and black thin, so we had a color change on that, but it only fit into one connector. So that's about it for the wiring. Please pay attention. 2-pin, 2-pin, 3-pin, 3-pin. The color of the B-touch wires are needed to correspond to each other. That's probably the yellow, brown, and red one. Connect each wire connector to the corresponding connector on the extruder and X-axis stop. The extruders, those just only fit into one way on the connector. And there's X-stop, X-limit switches, all done. So let's see what we have on the next page. Like I said, I'm going along with this just the way you are. X-axis Y motor exit the upper side of the printer control box. So we've already done that. This one had a switch with the connector, which is in this corner. There's a limit switch and the motor. This one here only had a wire for the motor, so you're not going to mix those up. Heated bed power cables and thermistor wire. The thermistor wire regulates the temperature of the bed, and then you got your electrical connections, and that was over here. I tightened these up very good. Actually, that little screwdriver they gave did come in handy. It fit down in there quite well, and they are as tight as probably you should tighten them. Two power cables are shown on the right side of the control box. It's awful dark out here, but it's peaceful. Get a little closer. There are two connectors there. That will be another time when I bring this in, power it up, and run through the controls. So, wire binding and Teflon tube installation. The Teflon tube came with the spool of filament, so we'll grab that out in a second. Goes into the connector and just comes over to the side. This is under no pressure. This is just a feed tube. It's going to be, the wire will be pulled through here, so they didn't need a connector on this end. All of this stress will be between the direct drive feeder, so didn't have to have another coupling there. Is kind of the point I'm trying to make. Let's grab that tube and filament. So we have a 6mm Teflon tube here. Once they go in a little bit, they do lock. People usually put a small spacer in here to keep these from moving if they're on like a high stressed area. This is just a feed tube, so I don't think it's going to take too much abuse. And the next tube goes into here, snaps in. This will go down to our filament. And there's the filament holder. I've never fed filament into a direct drive printer. I'm not sure how much of a task that is. Typically you cut the end of the filament at a very sharp angle so that it gives you a small area to get into the extruder tube. Open this up here. So this is not the best connection off the spool to feed into the tube. So what you do is take your cutters and put a sharp edge cut on that, so that when it gets up finally to the extruder, it'll go in and pass through everything nice. That probably wouldn't pass through nice, but we're not going to get to that point yet. Our build is pretty much finished. Haven't powered it on, but next step is to move this in the house, and we'll do some small test prints. I'm going to do some cable management here with some zip ties. There is a modification online which I'm probably going to do on this printer. It takes this and it puts it into a cable chain so that it doesn't move around as much. Let's see what we got on our next page here. Yeah, rear bracket, left side, control box. This is all just cable management. This is a belt diagram, which this already had the belts installed, so I didn't have to deal with that, but definitely don't lose it. There is one video online from the company that shows the belt path. There's the belt path again. So, you know, don't lose these in case you ever have to change the belt. Some more belt videos and belt sheets here. So this all talks about the belts, which, like I said, it's already been done for us. Check all screws, fasteners, make sure they're all tight, loose. Check the voltage, 120 volt, 220 can be switched on the left of the control box. That's probably what that little hole was for. Yeah, deep inside that. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a square right here with the 120, 110, 220 volt switch. So I haven't looked at that yet. I'll have to come back and take a look at that. Tension up the belts, move the XY axis smoothly, which this does move around quite well. And actually you shouldn't really do what I just did, because it generates a current from the stepper motors and it goes back through the control box. So try not to do that, what I just did. But that, if you had your stepper motors unplugged, it won't make a difference. But these do generate their own current. They make electricity, and we're moving 3 of them at the moment. You got one on each corner and the center one, so I try not to do that. After confirming correct voltage, connect the power cables, plug 2 power cables into your outlet, turn on the power. So we'll do all this stuff together, and we'll get around to printing. Take care, people. I'll see you in the next video.